Welcome back to Database Solution. I hope you are doing very well. In this video, we are going to learn about exception in Snowflake scripting. So before going forward, I request you viewer to please subscribe this channel and like this video if you find this video helpful. Now let's get started with exception in Snowflake scripting. In a Snowflake scripting block, you can raise an exception if an error occurs. You can also handle exception that occur in your Snowflake scripting codes. How to declare exception? You can declare exception in declare section. For example, my exception, this is the exception variable name, then exception type, you can write here exception, then this is the SQL code of error, then you can write here error message, for example, raised my exception. Raising a declare exception, to raise an exception we can execute the raise command. For example, we declare here exception, my exception, exception type, this is the code of error, then raised my exception. We will learn about this code and this statement in upcoming demonstration in this video. So we again declare here variable in beginning and end section using let command, counter assign operator to 0, this is the initial value of counter. Then we again define here using let command should raise exception, this is the boolean type which is assigned to true. Then if and end logic should raise exception, this is already true, then executing this command raise command my exception means we want to raise this error code. Then and if counter, this is the increment code of this variable counter assign operator counter plus 1 return counter. So if I execute this statement, you can see here only raised command executed and this counter is never incremented. Exit code from here, okay, after raise command. Now next is in exception. In a Snowflake, exception can be handled explicitly using an exception clause. Within this clause, specific exceptions can be managed using when clause. A Snowflake provides two built-in functions, statement error for error in executing a statement and exception error for error related to expression. A Snowflake provides two built-in exceptions, statement error and expression error. Statement error for error in the executing statement and expression error for error related to expression. When an exception occurs, detail can be accessed using three built-in variables. For example, SQLCODE, a 5-digit signed integer for error code as we used here, okay, and SQLERRM means error message, and SQLSTATE, a 5-character code based on ANSI SQL standard. Okay, so let's see demonstration about how to handle exception using when clause. So we declare here variable in declare section my exception, exception type, error code, then error message, beginning and end block. We define here variable counter assign operator to 0 using let command should raise exception which is assigned to true, and we use here if condition should raise exception, then execute raise my exception. If this is true, this is already true because we assign here true value to this variable should raise exception. Then and if counter plus 1 return counter, then we handle here exception. When this raise statement error, then we want to see this error message, error type equal to statement error, SQLCODE using this function SQLCODE, and this is error message, this is SQLSTATE using SQLSTATE, okay. And this is when error message is my exception, then we want to see this statement, when other, then we want to see this statement. If I execute this statement, you can see and understand here. If I click on this, you can see here because this raise my exception using raise command in if and end condition, so it's written here error type equal to my message, error type equal to my exception SQL code which is equal to -2 3 times 0 and 2 and error message raised my exception and error state, this is the 5-digit code, okay. Now next, if you need to raise same exception that you cached in exception handler, you can do so by using raise command without any argument. This is useful when you want to capture additional detail about the exception before re-raising it. After capturing the necessary detail, simply execute raise command to raise the same exception again. For example, we write here begin select star from non-existent table, and we write here exception when other, then we want to capture here SQL code and error message, and we want to raise this error message. So if I execute this statement without argument in exception command, you can see here this is the SQL code and this is the statement error, SQL compilation error. If you want to see this line, you can return here and you can see here same error message. Okay. So if I execute this statement, right here semicolon and then execute, you can see here this is the error code 2003 and this is the compilation error object non-existent table, because this table is not exist in our database, does not exist or not authorized. Same you can see here this line using return command. And if you want to see again this message, you can write here raise command without any argument. You can see here same code and same statement error and SQL compilation error. Okay, let's see another example. In begin and end block, we intentionally cause an error by dividing 1 by 0. This is the error message, and then if this error is occurred, then exception when other, then we need to capture here SQL code and exception and error message. We want to capture here SQL error code and error message using this function SQL code and SQLERRM, as we learn here. This provide 5-digit sign integer for error code and this provide error message. So if I execute this statement, control enter to execute, and you can see here 1000051, this is the SQL code and division by 0 is the error message. Okay, so if I comment this and uncomment this raise, you can see uncatch exception, this is the expression error on line number 3. Okay, first, second and third. Okay, division by 0, this is the expression error you can see here by using raise command. So that's all about in this video. If you find this video helpful, please subscribe the channel and like this video. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.